Disclaimer. The videos are purely for educational purposes. The intention is to guide the students to fare well in their term examinations of their professional courses. I will not be contacting any of the subscribers or followers with messages regarding private tutoring or any money transactions. If anybody does message you, please report them and block them immediately. Professor K.M channel will not be responsible for the actions by the imposters with the same name.
Welcome to my channel. I am Professor K. Mahadevappa. Today, I am just providing you the probable answers to one of the questions in MBA of IGNOU MMPC-011 Social Process and Behavioral Issues subject. Normally, in Indira Gandhi National Open University new MBA, when the questions are being asked, they are supposed to answer 5 questions in 3 hours, which means to say that each question will require 35 minutes. And in these 35 minutes, the students are required to write minimum 500 to 600 words, as is seen from the inception of the introduction of this course. Taking that as a benchmark, here I have made an answer for this question to cover around 638 words, so that the students can perhaps go through this and optimize their memory to the extent of 500 to 600 words, so that they can reproduce the same in their examinations to score more than 80% in the respective subjects. Now, the question in this is describe and discuss various approaches to understand behavior and explain how managers can manage and control human behavior at work with relevant examples. So we have seen that there are 5 approaches to organization behavior, and they are explained one by one. That is human resource approach, and the other thing is contingency approach, productivity approach, systems approach, and interdisciplinary approach. When we just go through one by one, it is all is concerned with how are we to interact with the people and what are all the ways and means of approach in this context. So the human resources approach is concerned with the growth and development of people towards higher levels of competency, creativity, and fulfillment being central resource in any organization and any society. The human resources approach be understood by comparing it with the traditional management approach in the early 1900s. In the traditional approach, managers decided what should be done and management was directive and controlling. The human resource approach, on the other hand, is supportive. It helps employees become better, more responsible, and then create a climate in employees contribute to their improved abilities. The human resource approach means that better people achieve better results. For example, give a person a fish and you feed that person for a day. Teach a person to fish and you feed that person for life. And this sort of an approach is to see that the individuals are encouraged with all sorts of opportunities they could perhaps avail and make worth of that opportunity and prove to be the best in that given situation. The contingency approach is traditional management relied on the principle of one best way of managing. there was a correct way to organize, delegate, and divide work. The contingency approach to organizational behavior means that different situations require different behavioral practices for effectiveness. Here, we can perhaps visualize the situation that were prevailing during COVID pandemic period, where the organizations had to deviate and differentiate the service conditions and as well make that their presence is felt even in the pandemic disease environment, such that they made them to work from home and make things happen rather than keeping quiet with the disease sort of a thing like. And these sorts of contingency approach is nothing but making things happen in worse conditions also by conforming to situations that could perhaps help them to meet certain priorities and goals to the extent they could make. And that is how it is. So here, each situation must be analyzed carefully to determine the significant variables that exist in order to establish the kinds of practices that will be more effective. The contingency approach encourages analysis of each situation prior to action, discouraging habitual practice based on universal assumptions about people which were earlier. It is more interdisciplinary, more system oriented, and more research oriented than the traditional approach. It uses the most appropriate manner with current knowledge about people in organization. The third one is productive approach. The productivity is a ratio that compares units of output with units of input. If more outputs can be produced from the same amount of inputs, productivity is improved, or if fewer inputs can be used to produce the same amount of outputs, productivity has increased. The idea of productivity is a measure of how efficiently one produces whatever output is desired. Better productivity is a valuable measure of how well resources are used in society. It means less is consumed to produce each unit of output with less waste and better conservation of resources. Productivity is measured in economic inputs and outputs. If better organizational behavior can improve job satisfaction, a human output or benefit occurs. When employee development programs lead to a byproduct of better citizens in a community, a valuable social output occurs. Systems approach. A system implies many variables in organizations, and each of them affects all the others in a complex relationship. All people should be concerned with improving organizational behavior. Managers represent the administrative system, and their role is no use organization to improve people, organization relationships. Managers try to build a complaint climate where people are motivated to work together productively and become more effective persons. When organization behavior is applied with a systems approach, it creates a triple reward system in which human, organizational, and social objectives are met. People find more satisfaction in work when there is a cooperation and teamwork. They are learning to grow and contribute. The organization also is more successful because it operates more effectively. Quality is better and costs are less. Perhaps the greatest beneficiary of the people reward system is society itself, because it has better products and services, better residents, and a climate of cooperation and progress. The fifth one is interdisciplinary approach, and this approach advocates that efficiency can be attained by finding the right methods to get the job done through specialization on the job, by planning and scheduling, by using standard operating mechanisms, establishing standard time to do the job, by proper selection and training of personnel, and through wage incentives. This is how I've been able to cover in 638 words, and you may perhaps try to see how best you can optimize your memory to have in your memory around 500 to 600 words. Thank you. All the best.